It was a cold November night when I first felt it. A presence. I was home alone, in the old Victorian house my grandmother left me. It was a beautiful house, with its intricate woodwork and spacious rooms, but it had an eerie silence that always made me uneasy. I was in the attic sorting through some of my grandmother's old things. Dust swirled in the dim light and the air was thick with the smell of decay. I found a box full of old photographs and letters, yellowed with age. As I reached for a particular photograph, a cold gust of wind slammed the attic door shut. I jumped, my heart pounding in my chest. It was strange, I thought. There wasn't a window open anywhere. I tried to open the door, but it wouldn't budge. It was like something was holding it shut from the other side. Panic started to creep up my spine, sending chills down to my fingertips. My breath came out in short, shallow gasps as I rattled the door handle, but it was no use. Then, I heard it. A soft whisper, barely audible, coming from the darkest corner of the attic. The next few days were filled with an unsettling silence. The whisper in the attic played on my mind, but I tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was just the wind, I told myself, or a bird that had gotten trapped. But deep down, a part of me knew better. The house felt different somehow. The silence was broken only by the creaking of the floorboards and the rustling of leaves outside my window. Every time I thought I was alone, I would catch a glimpse of something out of the corner of my eye. A shadow moving too quickly, or a flicker of light where there shouldn't be one. But whenever I turned to look directly, there was nothing there. I tried to shake off the feeling of dread that was slowly enveloping me. I told myself I was being paranoid, letting my imagination run wild. Sleep became a distant memory. Every time I closed my eyes, I was plagued by nightmares. Vivid, terrifying dreams that left me gasping for air and drenched in cold sweat. In these dreams, I would hear the whispers again, clearer now, taunting me, threatening me. They seemed to slither into my mind, planting seeds of fear and doubt. One night, I woke up to the sound of my name being whispered. It was close, too close. I sat bolt upright in bed, my eyes scanning the darkness, but I couldn't see anything. The whisper was gone as quickly as it had come, leaving behind a chilling silence that seemed to press down on me. I stumbled out of bed and fumbled for the light switch. The sudden brightness did little to calm my racing heart. Days turned into weeks, and the strange occurrences in the house continued to escalate. Objects started to move on their own, doors slammed shut without a breeze, and disembodied footsteps echoed through the empty hallways. I was living in a constant state of fear, my nerves stretched thin. One evening, as I was reading in the living room, I saw it. A shadow, darker than the surrounding darkness, darted across the wall. My breath caught in my throat and my blood ran cold. It was a fleeting glimpse, but it was enough to confirm my worst fears. Whatever was in the house with me was growing bolder. That night, I lay awake for hours, listening to every creak and groan of the old house. My mind raced, trying to make sense of what was happening. Fear was a constant companion, gnawing at the edges of my sanity. The air grew heavy with an unseen presence. I felt it everywhere I went, a coldness that seeped into my bones, a weight on my chest that made it hard to breathe. It was as if the house itself was closing in on me, suffocating me with its unseen terror. I tried to maintain a semblance of normalcy. I went to work, I ate my meals, I even attempted small talk with colleagues. But the fear was always there, lurking beneath the surface, a dark undercurrent to my every thought and action. My friends noticed the change in me. I was withdrawn, jumpy, my eyes constantly darting around as if expecting something to jump out at me. They asked if everything was all right, but I couldn't bring myself to tell them the truth. One evening, as twilight painted the sky in hues of purple and orange, I felt a distinct chill. It wasn't the usual draftiness of the old house, but something altogether more unnatural. The temperature seemed to plummet, and a bone-deep cold settled over me. My breath formed white puffs in the air, and I rubbed my arms, trying in vain to generate some warmth. The air grew thick and oppressive, difficult to breathe, as if a weight had settled on my chest. I could feel my heart pounding in my ears, a frantic rhythm against the eerie silence of the house. Looking around, I noticed that the air itself seemed to shimmer and distort. Shadows danced in the corners of my vision, taking on grotesque shapes that vanished as quickly as they appeared. Suddenly, the lights flickered and died, plunging me into absolute darkness. The darkness amplified every creak and groan of the old house, transforming them into menacing whispers and phantom footsteps. I fumbled for my phone, my hand shaking so badly that I could barely unlock the screen. The pale glow of the screen did little to penetrate the oppressive darkness, casting long, dancing shadows that seemed to writhe and twist like living things. I tried to rationalize my fear, to tell myself it was just an old house playing tricks on my nerves. But the truth was, a primal part of me knew better. Something was here with me, something unseen and malevolent. I could feel its presence, cold and predatory, lurking just beyond the reach of my senses. Every sound, every flicker of movement in the darkness sent my heart racing. I imagined cold, spectral fingers brushing against my skin, heard my name whispered on the wind. My mind, starved for sleep and fueled by terror, conjured up images too horrifying to describe. That night, the haunting reached its terrifying crescendo. A violent storm raged outside, mirroring the terror that gripped my heart. Rain lashed against the windows, and wind howled like a banshee, its mournful cries seeming to echo my own fear. I lay huddled in my bed, every nerve ending on high alert. The whispers had grown louder, more insistent, swirling around me like a vortex of despair. They taunted me, threatened me, promised me unimaginable horrors. Then I heard it, a blood-curdling scream, sharp and piercing, echoing through the empty house. It was a sound of pure terror, the sound of someone facing their worst nightmare, and it came from within the house itself. Panic seized me. I had to get out, had to escape the clutches of this nightmare. Leaping out of bed, I stumbled towards the door, my bare feet slapping against the cold hardwood floor. The whispers followed me, their voices growing louder, more menacing, urging me to run. I raced through the darkened house, my heart pounding against my ribs like a drum. Shadows danced at the edge of my vision, and the air grew colder, heavy with the stench of decay and something else, something ancient and evil. As I fumbled with the lock on the front door, I heard it again, that blood-curdling scream, closer now, filled with a raw, primal terror that sent chills down my spine. The sound spurred me on, fueling my desperate flight. I wrenched the door open and stumbled out into the raging storm.
I didn't stop running until I reached the safety of the nearby town. Soaked to the bone, trembling with fear and exhaustion, I sought refuge in a brightly lit diner. The warmth of the coffee and the chatter of strangers a stark contrast to the nightmare I had just fled. As I sat there trying to calm my racing heart, I realized the terrifying truth. The whispers, the shadows, the screams, they hadn't followed me. The haunting was confined to that house, to those cursed walls. I never went back. The house stands empty to this day, a testament to the darkness that resides within. Some say it's just an old house, its timbers groaning under the weight of time.